3, 2, 1.
We'd like to welcome you to another edition of Grok Talk, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, GraniteGrok.com. We are your feared extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio microphone-stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you could only get from GraniteGrok.com.
Grok Talk.
Welcome back to Grok Talk. Thank you very much to Yvonne Dean Bailey, who was with us earlier. Susan Olsen still here. We're going to get right to her to wrap up the SB 116 chatter. Of course, Jody and Ian Underwood are here. Mike Rogers at the end of the table. Skip Murphy is Mikeless for the moment. And Jane is out in the hall there waiting to come in here. Jane Cormier. And we're going to bring her in a second. But let's get right to the SB 116 thing, because we said we would continue to have this discussion.
Well, it's a good bill. I want to thank the prime sponsor, Senator Bradley, for being really a champion in moving this piece of legislation forward. I want to commend Chairman Thole and the members of the committee. We did have one Democrat who voted for the bill. It's going to be going to the House not this coming week, but I believe the week after. And I know that the House leadership is watching this and is in support of the legislation that restores our rights and that advances the cause of women's rights to defend themselves and to be equal with bad guys. And for those of you who are interested in learning more about Senate Bill 116, it's the origins of New Hampshire's discriminatory licensing program and the fact that certain law enforcement folks are maybe not following the law. You can check in at Granite Grok. You can check in at Packing New Hampshire.
There is a lot more to cover on that whole keeping a list thing.
Wait. Oh, I told you it was just like Christmas last week.
I know.
So stand by, folks. We're going to have lots of stuff on list making and list keeping and backside kicking that will result from that. So any of those of you who've been following Senate Bill 116, I want to thank the House and Senate leadership for the good work that they've done. And the other firearms groups that we've all worked together on this to come up with a good piece of legislation. And Jody, never forget Dylan's role and the impact that it has on schools. So, guys, I'm going to run. I'm headed over to Concord Hospital to visit a mutual friend who's getting who got a knee replaced yesterday.
Right.
So,
all right, Susan, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Can you give him this? This is from Barda, from Neil and Emily.
And where did that go? Let's go over this way. I'll take it. Thanks. I'm going to pass some headsets around. Are you coming over here? You going to take it? You're going to give it up for the whole segment? Ooh. Jane had a seat.
This gets interesting.
Just step over it. When you take the camera out, watch his face. She does opera, not track and field. Okay. Jane Cormier is joining us. So, just to reiterate the Croydon thing, you guys look it up, Croydon, New Hampshire school choice, and there's lots of articles out, and the number is growing, and there's lots of places where you can get more information about what's going on there.
So to tie those two, guns and education, together, I mean, there's sort of an interesting parallel here, right, where you look at the constitutional clause that she quoted, right, the legislature shall cherish seminaries and public schools. Whatever cherish means, it can't mean fund.
Because later in Article 83, it says you can't raise money for
religious
schools.
Sects,
right?
So cherish can't mean fund, and it can't mean run, and it can't mean operate. So it can't mean operate, regulate, or fund. Whatever it means, right? So essentially it says you can write them nice letters or buy them flowers. Right?
It does. That's it.
But here's the interesting thing. And so what you do with both guns and education is you start with the Constitution that basically says you can't do anything. And you change that from something that says you shall not do it to an entire bureaucracy that discusses how you're going to do the thing
Right.
It says you
that
can't.
you're not
And
supposed
to
do.
who when you want.
Right, and that's exactly what happened with Article 2A, right? It's
Exactly.
Just all persons have
Exactly.
the right to keep and bear arms, and there's no
And
room
all of a
in
sudden
there.
there's-
And suddenly,
No.
Now we'll have
no,
a... yeah.
Wait, we found a proviso and exclusion and
And so it
exception.
may be that, just like they're going for constitutional carry, which, I would argue isn't really, but maybe what we should be doing is pushing for constitutional education.
Yes.
Just
yes.
to say, get them
Constitutional learning.
the hell out of it.
What a great idea. Great. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I haven't seen you for like 2 weeks.
I know.
What brings you to our bivouac?
Well, many things. I mean, New Hampshire Right to Life is getting busy these days.
Good.
I have to say, it's a good thing. And we have a lot of events coming up, and we have a brand new initiative that I'm starting to put out, and we're taking appointments to go on the road and talk about it. So thought it might be a good thing to come in and discuss a little bit today.
Sure. Absolutely. I know, because the last time you were here, we talked about a program where you were talking about counties and
Yes.
things, and so it's nice to see. I was familiar with New Hampshire Right to Life. I know people who've been in New Hampshire Right to Life, people who run it, but I mean, as far as day-to-day operations and tactics and all those things, I know you, so
Yes.
and you're down the hall
I
now,
know.
and so it's like I don't know what they used to do,
Right.
but it's exciting to hear.
It's very exciting because they've been very, I don't want to say quiet, that's not the right word, but they've worked behind the scenes.
Docile,
Getting things done. No, about docile. I mean, you know what? Just do
subtle.
Perhaps subtle's the better word, right? They're right out there doing the marches in front of abortion clinics and doing the hard stuff. But we have the CHAMP program, which you talked about, Changing Hearts and Minds Project.
Yes.
Is now in its first tier, which is, as you said, getting county people involved. Two people from each county. Second tier will be that those two people that we'll work with will enlarge their groups to grow those communities. And then the third tier is to grow CHAMPs to New England, not just a New Hampshire endeavor. So it's a three-tiered program, and we're just getting it rolling, and we're having a lot of really good stuff happen with it. So I just wanted to remind folks that we have our first open house in the new space on May 2nd, and that's right here at 8 North Main Street. So 9 to 11, they can come in and they can see what New Hampshire Right to Life is all about and see some of our upcoming programs and grab information.
Cool.
Which is always a good thing.
Now, recently there was a vote in the House on the buffer zone bill.
Yes.
Repealing the buffer zone bill, and I wrote about that. And we will be posting the list of the people who are supporting the unconstitutional buffer zone bill at some point. But is that moving to the Senate now? Is that? I don't remember where it was.
I think it is. I think it hasn't come up to. It hasn't given us a date for the vote.
Right.
But it's going to hit, and I think that the talk behind the scenes is that Senator Bradley and Senator Stiles are the two that we should contact, since they're the original sponsors of the bill.
As was Morse, but he's retired. So.
Well, Odell.
Odell. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Morse.
Yeah, Morse is still here.
He's still here.
But yes, so the big thing is not only you don't even have to go to the life topic.
No, it's unconstitutional.
It's unconstitutional, and it's bad legislation in that we know that the Supreme Court has already said this is unconstitutional. So what's going to happen? They're going to keep it on the books so that we can have another huge lawsuit and throw another $1 million down the
at least,
at least.
Massachusetts spent $1.27 million just covering defense costs, not what they spent to go to the Supreme Court, just
crazy.
what the defense spent. So you might as well double it at least, and they're inefficient, so probably triple. I don't know what they wasted. I don't have those numbers, but $1.27 million in taxpayer dollars in Massachusetts, and that was when I wrote about it at watch.org. I mean, I talked about the particulars, but I'm like, look, even if you take it to the Supreme Court, it's going to get shot down.
Right.
So what is the point in wasting all of our freaking money?
Ideology.
Right.
Ideology.
What do they gain, though? I was trying to figure out if there was some other angle here that would make it worthwhile.
No.
And apparently,
it's just ideology.
Yeah.
They just don't want to go there, and so that they're going to fight what should be banned. Take it off the books. We have also, don't forget, Senate Bill 40, very important. For those of us last session that supported Representative Rideout's bill for fetal homicide, having gone through that process with Rep. Rideout, I mean, you have to have no heart to to hear
What's
his
interesting
story.
is that, based on the numbers that I've seen, most people support his bill.
Absolutely.
If you talk to people all across America and say, pregnant woman, she's looking forward to having her baby, somebody assaults her in some way and kills the child, do you think that somebody should be punished for that? The general consensus is yes.
Right.
There's always going to be people who will say, well, what were the circumstances, da-da-da-da-da. But, along with young people being less in favor of abortion in the last 10 or 15 years.
And people are not talking about that near enough, but we are seeing a huge change in numbers.
It's very interesting to see the
Yes,
statistics.
it is interesting. But interesting also to note that HB 323 was the fetal homicide bill that went through the House and passed the House, right? So now we have Senate Bill 40, which is another Bradley bill, supported bill, and Guts, HB 323, with the most bizarre language you've ever heard. Even if you're a hardcore life person and you're looking at it, it uses terminology that's really strange. Now they're going to talk about viability, which of course is just a great way to kick it out the back door because nobody can say what's viable, right? So we have an amendment that's
including your political career.
Well, yeah, exactly, huh? There is an amendment that is on its way to Senate Bill 40, and New Hampshire Right to Life has been sending out a lot of notices about it to talk to the senators to say that they need to support the amendment, which puts back in the language that the New Hampshire House passed for the Leon Rideout bill. So SB 40 should be the same bill as HB 323. Put the language back in. Stop playing with semantics and do the right thing and offer a fetal homicide bill. What, like 48 other states or something like that in this country? Is New
57.
Hampshire? Well, whatever it is. It's ridiculous. We're one of three. One of three
that
states
doesn't have it,
that doesn't have it, and that's not a good thing. So that one we've been
even
working
crazy
on.
liberal states have it. So
Absolutely.
it's just something people are comfortable with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't it his daughter that lost Leon's? I think
Leon's daughter, 7.5 months.
Lost her baby.
Somebody ran a stop sign at a high rate of speed, put her in the hospital for a number of weeks. The baby was born, but then died very shortly after. And the man walked away scot-free. There's no entity for that baby. And because there's no legal entity for that baby, there is nothing legally that can be done. And the New Hampshire court actually came back after that. While the first case was being lit, we were in the House last term talking about this. The judge that was discussing this case said that it's incumbent upon the legislator to put this on the books. Put fetal homicide on the books and the judge came around and said there's nothing we can do with it. We would want to give justice to these families that lost one of their family members.
And the judge in the buffer zone case.
Yes, he's holding it.
He's holding the lawsuit until after he said this is the legislature's job.
Uh-huh.
Their job is to write the law or to unwrite this law, however you want to
Right.
say it.
Right.
And based on the information available. So the Supreme Court says it's unconstitutional. You passed this law. It's on the books. Somebody has filed suit against you saying it's unconstitutional based on the Supreme Court decision in the Massachusetts law.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's wait for the legislature to fix it.
Right.
And they're not going to.
Well, we know that the judge, here's something that I learned last night at a meeting. Representative Birch went to one of the hearings and started talking about how, well, you know what, this is really a judicial, the justice has to take this on, right? So the judge in the case, the judge that you're talking about, called the AG, Foster. Is it Foster?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And told him,
Uncle Joe.
Yeah, Uncle Joe, and told him that he needed to put a message out there that they're holding on to this case because it is a legislative issue, and it will be held until the legislature follows through with what they should be doing.
Judge that doesn't want to write law.
Can you imagine? What a wonderful thing that is, truly. I mean, we don't see near enough.
Hopefully
of it.
this isn't just an outlier.
Well,
I
I'll
would
tell you
guess
what.
that they just don't want to make the decision. That if it was a decision they wanted to make, then they would rewrite the law.
That's true.
This is a case where they're like,
They
I
just
don't
don't
want
wanna touch
to
it.
be the one on
That's
the
not
hook
what the
here.
judge is saying. The
I
judge
know,
is saying that
but he's just saying that
constitutionally.
the legislature doesn't
Right.
want to pay a political price.
Oh,
for
that's
voting on
absolutely
it.
true.
So-
Yeah.
Right, but I'm
Throw
saying
it
the
off.
judge may not either. The
Well,
judge may or may not want to
That's true.
take,
That's true.
because there's certainly lots of other situations where they're like, no, even though the law says X, it really should say
right. Well,
X and or Y.
I don't know
and so
about this
therefore it
specific
does.
judge on all his
Yeah.
issues, but I do know on this one he's been very specific, saying this is clearly a legislative, issue. This is not something that should be
All
done.
right, so how do people reach New Hampshire Right to Life?
They reach them at nhrtl.org.
Okay, you got it. We're going to take 60 seconds, and we're going to come back and talk about some other fun stuff. Thank you very much, Jane, for
Alrighty.
updating us.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Rich Gerard, host of Gerard at Large in the Morning, the Manchester area's only locally owned, locally operated, focused, and interested, riveting radio show, heard live every Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 on 90.7 FM WLMW, New Hampshire Family Radio, and available 24/7 live or archived at GerardAtLarge.com. Be sure to tune in.
Rock Talk.